I'm happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation. But I also want to thank all of you for coming tonight, because it's 8:30. This is, I think, the latest it's ever been. This is kind of the late version of Agape Latte. I guess I'm like the spiritual Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. But I want to say, first, I hope you take something home with you tonight. When I was a kid, there used to be the Marx Brothers, used to be comedians. And I remember one scene of the Marx Brothers when I think it was Chico Marx, was one of the four Marx brothers. And they went into a hotel once, and he went to the desk to register, and he had a suitcase. And then he registered, and just as he was taking his suitcase, what they used to call bellhops, those people who used to take your bags to the room, the bellhop grabbed it at the very same time. And then they started to have this tug of war going on. One way, this way. Eventually, the bellhop, the younger person, won. And he's running up the stairs, and he turns to Chico Marx, and he's holding the thing, he's shaking, he says, "This is empty, this is empty." And Chico Marx, he used to talk like an Italian, with Italian accent, bad Italian accent. He said, "Don't you worry. When I leave the hotel, it'll be full." My hope is, I'm not saying you're empty heads. I'm not saying that. But I hope when you leave here tonight that you, you take something home with you. You're a little more full than when you came. And I would just say, in 1970s, I taught for 12 years at a school on the North Shore of Boston called St. John's Prep. My first time I had a parents' night, I never had one before. I was just starting teaching. This guy come in, and I'm sitting in my office area, and he's coming in to talk about his kid. When he sees me, he stops, and he's looking at me like this, and he's got his hands up in front of him like he's measuring me, and he says, "Ruggedly handsome, God awful knows," this thing. So I'm thinking, who the heck is this guy? And he says, "I'm Jay Anastasi. I'm the chief of, plastic surgery at University Hospital. I could fix that God awful knows for you, and you look a lot better." He says, "You look very kind of ruggedly handsome, pretty ordinary, but you got potential." I remember saying that to me. And then I look around here tonight. I'm not going to, I see I see a lot of faces here tonight. Some of you look beautiful, and some of you look beautiful, and others look beautiful, but we all have ordinary faces. I mean, look around the room. I don't see Brad Pitt, and I don't see that, and I just see very beautiful faces, but very ordinary faces. And that shouldn't be, despite what Dr. Jay Anastasi said about me, the ordinary face is the face of the world. I'm going to tell you a little story. Now, it's Easter season. The Easter story is this. Mary goes to the tomb early in the morning. She looks in. She doesn't find Jesus' body where they had put him, and he begins to cry. And she turns around, and what does she see? She sees someone. She sees Jesus, but she doesn't recognize Jesus because he looks like a gardener. That's the best thing you're ever going to hear. He looks like an ordinary person. And that's part of the message of the post-resurrection story. That from now on, the ordinary face, the face of the gardeners of the world, is all we need to get it done. It's all we need to get it done. In 1980s, I was in a bookstore when I was a kid. I was with a guy named Bob Morlino, smartest guy I ever met. And we were in the bookstore called the Harvard Coop, and he threw me a book by John Meagher. And the book was called The Gathering of the Ungifted, the gathering, if you will, of the ordinary people of the world. And I opened it up. The first thing I came to when I opened it up, and I was just opening it up randomly, it was this line. "You are a unique human experiment, never before tried in human history, and when you're dead, it's never, ever going to be repeated." I'll say that again. You, and you too. and over there too. All of you are unique human experiments, never before tried in human history, and when you're dead, it's never going to be repeated. And so the point of the book was, you might as well cook up your experiment before you die, because it's the only one of you that's ever going to be. And so tonight, when I look out at all of us, we are in the process of developing and cooking up the human experiment called, what's your name?
Mary.
Mary. And what's your name?
Kate.
Kate. These are different human experiments, but they are willed by God to be on this earth at this moment. And so you shouldn't try to be anyone else in this world but you. And you shouldn't be trying to be anyone but you, because this experiment is unique. And it's never before tried in human history until your mother and father had you. And when you're done, it's never going to be repeated. And I'm in the fourth quarter of my life. And I'm grateful that my fourth quarter has come many years down the road. I am this age now. Many people don't make this age. But I'm in the fourth quarter of my life. I know that the womb experience that made Tony Penna is way, way back. And the tomb that is going to be my home one of these days is coming closer and closer and closer every day. So I have a finite time to get this experiment cooked up right, because my day is coming soon when I'm going to be in the earth, meeting my God in a different way. So all of us here today have a finite amount of time between. Now you may look at me and say, he's very close to his tomb, but no one in this room knows when your tomb is going to arrive at your doorstep. None of us know. And so we all have a finite amount of time to get this human experiment called you cooked up right. You know, am I using the right ingredients? Am I using the right appropriate proportions? Am I doing the right thing to get me cooked up well so that I can make the contribution on this earth in my ordinary way in the name of Jesus Christ or in the name of God? It's so exciting. But we don't know. John O'Hara, you know John O'Hara, the novelist? He tells this story about death. I don't mean to get you nervous, but this is it's a good story for this time of night. Tells a story about death. It's in Baghdad. This servant goes down to the marketplace to do the shopping. Watch this one. He goes down to do the shopping. And while he was at shopping, doing the normal shopping, he notices across the street, 6'10", dressed in black, was Death itself. And Death sees him, and he starts doing this to him. Come over, come over, come over. The servant almost has a heart attack. So he escapes, goes back to the household where he is doing the work for this person, and he says, I must escape to far off Samara because I was down in Baghdad this morning and Death was calling me to cross over. I'm so afraid I'm going to escape to far off Samara. And so he goes to far off Samara. Much later in the day, the owner of the house goes down to finish the shopping because it wasn't done. When he was down doing the shopping, he bumps into Death itself. They begin to talk. Death says to him, I was a little surprised this morning by your servant being here. He says, why were you surprised? He's down here every week. He says, I was surprised because I have an appointment with him tomorrow in Samara. Did you get it? Okay, you don't seem like you got it. You cannot avoid the day it comes. And so we know that death is coming our way, and we have a finite amount of time to get this experiment called you cooked up the right way. And so Tony Penna, when I think about my own experiment, I say this to myself. I want to live well, and I want to die well. I want to live well, and I want to die the right way. And what is the right way for me to die? For me, who is a Christian, the right way for me to die is to die in a very special way. And look at me. I'm 181 pounds of life. I'm 181 pounds of sustenance. Look at me. I got a lot of me here. The hope is that I have the Word of God in this hand and a big spoon in this hand. That's what I want. The Word of God in this hand talking to me all the time. Tony, be the best unique experiment you can possibly be and do it the right way. And what is the right way? Take the spoon. And what I do is I walk the earth and I start noticing. What do I notice? I come upon a person who's hungry. What's wrong with you? I'm hungry. Well, I got 101 pounds of substance here. Maybe I can feed you a little bit. So I take the spoon, and what do? I dig a pound or two out of myself, and I offer it to the person who's hungry. And I say, you need this life more than I do. Take a couple pounds of me, and be blessed. And then I go a little further, and I see someone who's thirsty. I said, what's your problem? I'm thirsty. I need something. I am thirsty. I said, well, I have you got to do the math, 179 pounds of life left. And so I say, you got to do the math. Take 4 pounds of me. Take this. And how are you feeling? I'm less thirsty. God bless you. And then you go to the next person, and you see a stranger who feels abandoned. And I say to you, what's your problem? I'm a stranger and I'm lonely. Oh, I have help me. I have 175 pounds more of life. Take 6 pounds of me. And here, do you feel a little bit better because I'm caring for you? You who are a stranger, who feel a little abandoned and lonely? I'm doing pretty good. And then I go a little further. And who do I meet now? I meet someone who's naked, who needs a little clothing, who needs a little shelter and protection. And now I say at 169, take 60 pounds of me. Take 60 pounds of me. How do you feel now? I feel a little bit more life. Yeah, I have life, but I'm sharing it with you. And maybe because I shared my life with you, you might have more life. And then I go a little further, and who do I see now? I see someone who is sick. And I say, what's your problem? And now I have 109 pounds left. And I say, take 60 more pounds of this. And how do you feel now? She goes, oh, I don't feel as sick because you're caring for me. Oh, that's good, that's good. Take more. And then I say to the next person who's in prison, and I go to visit the person, say, I've been in prison for so long, I feel just absolutely forgotten about and abandoned. And now I say,
49.
I have 49 pounds of life left. I said, heck, what the heck? Have my 49 pounds. Take it. You need it more than me. Have a little bit life, and God bless you. And then what happens? A strange thing happens. There I am, flat as a pancake, lying on the floor. And people come around, and what do they say? What do they say? Well, that's Tony Penna. That human experiment was begun on March 26, I won't tell you. That's Tony Penna. He's flat as a pancake. I wonder what he died. Maybe he got hit by a car. Maybe he fell off the trampoline. Maybe he fell down the $1 million stairs. Well, whatever it is, there he is, flat as a pancake. And then someone says, who's wise? No, he didn't die from the $1 million stair fall from there, or the trapeze. He didn't die from a truck hitting him. He didn't die even of cancer or a heart attack. You know what he died? He died of that spiritual disease. Yeah. He gave his last pound of life to someone who needed it more than him. And he ran out of himself by giving it to someone who needed it more than he needed it. That's how I want to die. That's how I want to live. And so tonight, as I give this little, I don't know what it's called, Agape Latte talk, I hope you could think about that a little bit. You know, we say often around here, you got to be individuals or people for others. The truth is, God's work is now bequeathed into our hands. If you're waiting for Mother Teresa to walk through that door, she ain't coming. She's dead. If you're waiting for St. Ignatius to show up through those doors, you can wait till hell freezes over. He ain't coming. He had his moment. That experiment is cooked up and done. What is not done is all of us who are in this room breathing at this moment. All of us who are privileged to be at Boston College for this moment of our lives. And most of you, when I look around, these very good people, beautiful people, you have a lot of years left, most likely. The work of God is now in our hands. You have the pounds of life within you. The question is, are you and am I going to be generous enough to start spooning out the life that we have to those who need it more than we need it? And if we do that well, we not only live the graceful life, we will die the graceful death of a spiritual child of God. You know, a few years back, I used to say Mass at St. Rose of Lima in Topsfield. It was a good gig. I loved it. And every Sunday for about a 2-year stretch, maybe not that long, maybe a year and a half, this father used to carry his little kid up to communion with him. The kid would be in his arms. And I would give the father communion, but the kid, every single time he came, he used to do the same thing. He'd say this: "Hello, God." And I used to say, "How you doing, kid?" My prayer tonight is that at least one time in your life, you're so darn good, you're so elegant in your goodness and your gracefulness, that someone would mistaken you for God. That's my prayer for all of you tonight. Just one time in your life, you're so darn good, someone would look at you and say, "Hi, God." And I've been waiting since that time. It's been over 30-something years for the second time that would happen to me. And it hasn't happened to me yet. But my hope is, before that tomb comes too closely to me, I'll have at least a second time where someone sees Tony Penna being, for a moment, so good that they mistake me for God himself. And may that happen to all of you as well. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you.